See, most of the time, either you have a phobia of obstacle, I call it the obstacle phobia, or you have anxiety of performance anxiety. So in these two cases, we become stressed. Number one, because of obstacle phobia. Number two, performance anxiety. So how does this develop? Perhaps you have enthusiastically involved yourself to achieve something, and during the process of work, you were rebuked or rebutted or this you call obstacles. Well, they are just a delay tactic. That is when you need patience and some more skills and talent, and mainly your composure of the mind, so that you can choose to push through the obstacles. Obstacles are going to be there in most of the cases, but having a phobia or getting a rigid thought that every time you begin something you will face an obstacle, so once bitten twice shy, that concept need to be reoriented. So you need to come out of this obstacle phobia, because not every attempt will bring obstacles to you. And second is performance anxiety. So repeatedly, perhaps you have been a great achiever and you have been able to accomplish your ambitions, but there may come a time when you may have to sit back and relax, and every time you push forward more and more to in your past passion, and you may find things are just not working in your favor, and that is when you become anxious. Or maybe before you begin to do something, you are already anxious of its outcome. Have you seen such situation happen to you? So when you're anxious of the outcome before you begin the performance, before you begin the work, this means you have perhaps performance anxiety. You may be anxious of the outcome or how people will assess you if in case you fail, if in case you do not achieve the result as a favorable result, if you have not achieved as predicted. So you may be afraid of other people assessing you. Do not worry too much about the other people's assessment of you, and you need to relax before you begin a work. And that is where meditations and breathing techniques and some stretches for the body become immensely beneficial to get you out of the situation of obstacle phobia and performance anxiety. For example, suppose you have a loss of something. Maybe you lost a gadget, maybe you forgot to bring something for a presentation, or maybe you experienced some sense of loss in revenue. It could be any kind. And what happens to you at that time? You start thinking that if this loss did not happen, if this failure did not happen, if I had not had this delay, things could have been better. So this is another grip of ignorance, thinking that things could have been better if you did not lose those gadgets, if you did not lose the revenue. How can you say things could have been better? We need to move on. It may delay. Losing something is not a pleasant experience for anybody, I agree. But at best, it can delay you achieving your result. But the anxiety and the obstacle phobia and this situation where you start thinking things could have been better if you did not have that delay, if you did not lose those things, is even a worse situation actually. Not only of losing that object, but also brooding over it. So we need to do some meditation, pranayama, and stretches for the body to relax our nervous system, thereby coming out of these three ignorances: obstacle phobia, performance anxiety, and thinking that things could have been better if the failure did not happen. All the result and all the consequences is not just directly dependent on what you are doing. Many times you have had the experience that things are in your favor effortlessly, and other times things are just not coming in your favor, even though you have invested much time, energy, and work, and all the formula of hit or the formula of a good result you have invested into it, you have factored into it, but yet the result is not so good. How does that happen? So we need to know how to open up a little to things that are just happening around us. We need to de-link our lifestyle from the result of how we live, or we need to de-link the work that we do to the benefits, the rewards we achieve, because these have really no direct link. For example, in a football match between Bayern Munich and another team, a very good two football teams, it could be Barcelona, and very good football team, they have been practicing, they know all the techniques, and how does one team win, another team lose? Nobody wants to have a goal into their goal, but then it happens. You can't call it coincidence, you can't call it that they have not invested time into practice, that the techniques are less than the opposition team, because they all are very mature, very qualified players. But yet one team loses and the other team wins. So how does this, if you really study at the point of the goal, at the point of the shot from the player, maybe Ronaldo, at that point of time, how does it happen? We can academically analyze it, research about it, but yet it is not warranted. It is not factored that they will shoot a goal at that point of time. It just happens. So if you study this kind of instances where things have really no direct link to what you're doing, then you will find there is a big system happening, there's a system working which is not in our purview of reach or influence or understanding yet, and that sometimes influences the result. We need to be a little more open. We need to open up a little and not worry much about the failures, and get rid of the sentence that things could have been better if that failure did not happen, and get rid of the obstacle phobia and performance anxiety.